What's up, friends? Welcome back to the channel. Super happy to have you all back here today for another movie, and today I'm going to be watching The Social Network. And the thing with this movie is around the time it came out, I saw a lot of it, or came out on like Blu-ray. I saw a lot of scenes from it, but it was never in a setting of like sitting down to watch it straight from beginning to end. And so I've seen scenes from it. I don't really remember much, and it was mostly out of context anyway, and so that's why this is called a reaction instead of a commentary. But it isn't my first time watching a lot of the scenes, so just know that going in. So I might recognize a few things along the way, but I have not watched it from start to finish, so I'm excited to finally sit down and do that. And thank you to those who voted for this one to be watched. And two things I do know about this movie is, one, it's directed by David Fincher, who's one of my favorite directors. Love all his movies that I've seen. I haven't seen all of his movies, but I've seen quite a few, and he's just a master of his craft. And then I know that it's written, the script is by Aaron Sorkin, who's just a wordsmith. He does incredible writing in the films that I've seen him write, but definitely need to see more of his movies because I've only seen a couple that he's been the writer for. And so the combination of those two just makes me super excited to really dig into this one, and I hope you guys will enjoy my reaction to this. If you'd like to watch along with me for the entire movie, definitely check out my Patreon. Link for that is in the description. That's where you can find that, as well as the other full lengths to the videos that I do on my channel, as well as polls that help me decide what I watch or react to in the future. So I'd love to have you there, but also appreciate all of your support on here. Love interacting with you all. Love your insightful comments that help me to gain a better grasp on the films that I watch, gain a greater appreciation for them. So I appreciate all of your support and your interaction. And if by the end of the video you enjoyed it, definitely consider leaving a thumbs up. Definitely helps the video reach more people, helps the channel grow, helps me to be able to continue to make videos like this. And so I appreciate all of you. I'm excited to get into this. So without further ado, let's start The Social Network.
Well, which is the easiest to get into?
I think you asked me that because you think the final club that's easiest to get into is the one where I'll have the best chance.
What?
Dang, this guy goes in on you. Any slip of the tongue and he'll come after you.
Just saying I need to do something substantial in order to get the attention of the clubs.
Why?
Because they're exclusive.
Because it is exhausting. Dating you is like dating a stairmaster.
All I meant is that you're not likely to...
I have to go study.
You don't have to study.
Why do you keep saying I don't have to
Because
study?
you go to BU.
Oh, dang. That's a rough insult, my guy. Dang, that conversation was nuts. Just watched a relationship burn to the ground right in front of my eyes. Aaron Sorkin just likes to show off with his writing in movies. Just such smart dialogue. I feel like my IQ rises whenever I listen to dialogue from one of his movies. Jesse Eisenberg plays this role so well, though. He pulls off that kind of deadpan, serious persona so well.
First up is Kirkland. They keep everything open and allow indexes in their Apache configuration, so little wget magic is all that's necessary to download the entire Kirkland Facebook. Good stuff.
I can't imagine building a website just for fun in your free time. Like, I know it's possible. I know people do it. I personally just can't imagine that kind of skill. I took one computer science class in college and it blew my mind. You gotta be so smart for it.
You can do an empty search and get links to pages with every student's picture. It's slightly obnoxious that they only let you view one picture at a time, and there's no way I'm gonna go to 500 pages to download pics one at a time.
I also love all the intercutting with the partying and the other guys just lounging around. Shows how committed Zuckerberg was to just working all the time instead of doing less productive things. Almost to a fault, I'm sure.
Give each girl a base rating of 1400. At any given time, girl A has a rating RA, girl B has a rating RC.
I like that this movie just doesn't care that you don't know all that they're talking about, and it doesn't have any interest in explaining it fully. And I think that's effective because it separates you from him and showing how smart he is.
You did spend an awful lot of time embarrassing Mr. Zuckerberg with the girl's testimony from the bar.
I'm not embarrassed. You just made a lot of that up.
She was under oath.
Then I guess that would be the first time somebody's lied under oath.
So I'm guessing we skipped forward a little bit in the timeline.
In fact, it was that level of sophistication that led us to you in less than 4 hours.
4 hours. That would be impressive, except if you had known what you were looking for, you would have seen it written on my dorm room window.
There's no one that can verbally joust against him. He'll just beat you so fast. The script for this movie must be gigantic with all the dialogue it has.
Harvard.edu. The main difference between what we're talking about and MySpace or Friendster or any of those other social networking sites
Is exclusivity.
Oh, just like what they were talking about in the first conversation. It's all about the interest in exclusive clubs.
It was 3 or 4 years ago. I don't know what I said.
When did you come to Eduardo?
I don't understand that question.
You remember answering in the affirmative.
The cutting of this movie is so well done. I love how it goes and switches between the different lawsuit situations, but yet the dialogue still is cohesive and you're able to follow it and get the story.
Taking the entire social experience of college and putting it online.
I can't feel my legs.
I know. I'm totally psyched about this too, but Warner.
Yeah.
The dialogue's so genius because it perfectly shows his lack of understanding for other people's emotions or feelings.
They're suggesting I was jealous of Eduardo for getting punched by the Phoenix and began a plan to screw him out of a company I hadn't even invented yet. I know you've done your homework and so you know that money isn't a big part of my life, but at the moment I could buy Mount Auburn Street, take the Phoenix Club, and turn it into my ping pong room.
That was a brilliant line. So intimidating. I love when something like that can be intimidating without just being big or forceful. It's just by the smartness and the genius of the words. The music of this is awesome as well. I don't think I caught the composer's name in the opening credits. It's like some Tron music mixed with classical.
I'm in the second cut. You should be proud of that right there. Don't worry if you don't make it any further.
Oh, such scathing words. Man is so self-interested.
You had 42 days to study your system and get out ahead.
Do you see any of your code on Facebook? If you guys were the inventors of Facebook, you'd have invented Facebook.
This guy is a verbal mastermind. He's the kind of person that you would hate, but in this movie, he's awesome to watch.
Do you happen to know if she's looking to go out with anyone?
People don't walk around with a sign on them that says
Relationship status. This is the thing that every high school, middle school guy would just sit by their computer and watch, waiting for someone to change their relationship status.
7 different people spam me the same link.
Can they see it?
Yeah. What?
He went completely behind his back. I don't know all the little details of the story, and so I don't know what exactly is accurate or maybe is changed for a dramatic effect. I can completely see where these other guys are coming from, because sure, Zuckerberg did all the heavy lifting and all the intricate coding and stuff, but they did have the idea. At the same time, though, at least from the movie telling me, I don't think they got him under contract or a non-disclosure agreement or anything, so they did make some mistakes.
Eduardo was the president of the Harvard Investors Association, and he was also my best friend.
Your best friend is suing
Ooh,
you.
that's some great filmmaking, showing the empty seat right there.
And Mark was the biggest thing on the campus. It included 19 Nobel laureates, 15 Pulitzer Prize winners, 2 future Olympians, and a movie star.
If this movie was in the hands of any less competent director, writer, this would have easily been like a 4-hour movie, but they so excellently squeezed it down into a 2-hour movie because there's so much information in this.
Were you leading them on for 6 weeks?
No.
Then why didn't you raise any of these concerns before?
It's raining.
I'm sorry?
It just started raining.
Mr. Zuckerberg, do I have your full attention?
No.
Oh man, I love that.
The rest of my attention is back at the offices of Facebook, where my colleagues and I are doing things that no one in this room, including and especially your clients, are intellectually or creatively capable of doing. Did I adequately answer your condescending question?
Oh my gosh, dude. Jesse Eisenberg is slaughtering this role. His delivery is perfect, and the dialogue is unbelievably sharp and concise and just so well written. That scene was just 2 people talking in a room across from each other, nothing else happening, and it was an intense scene because of how good the delivery was.
As if every thought that tumbles through your head was so clever it would be a crime for it not to be shared. The internet's not written in pencil, Mark, it's written in ink.
That line was beautiful. That was straight poetry.
I was nice to you. Don't torture me for it.
We could just go somewhere for a minute.
I don't want to be rude to my friends.
We have to expand.
Oh, what, Mark?
Crazy that he's doing a lot of this just because of his relationship with a girl. But I mean, that's how the best things happen.
I'm an entrepreneur.
Well, then what was your latest preneur?
Well, I founded an internet company that let folks download and share music for free. I founded Napster.
Went on the Facebook for a little bit.
What's that?
This guy's trying to get in on the next big thing. I bet Mark Zuckerberg would like him to be on because he likes smart people that can help him. And if he founded Napster, he's got to know what he's doing. I also don't think I've seen Justin Timberlake really act in any other movies, so credit to David Fincher for wanting to put him in his movie. I feel like he did a good job in that scene.
The purpose of a business is to make a profit. It isn't a business yet. That's tough for me. It's my job. Never mind.
Zuckerberg's crazy, man, because he's taken money from everybody except not putting any in himself, and then tells everybody else not to be concerned about money. He's just using his intellect to use everybody around him as stepping stones to get to his destination.
And then he got around to the Facebook.
So, tell me about your progress. You don't want to ruin it with ads because ads aren't cool.
Exactly.
You don't even know what the thing is yet. How big it can get, how far it can go.
This is like Mark's clone.
$1 billion. That shut everybody up.
And that's where you're headed. $1 billion valuation.
Man, the editing, the music, everything about this is so brilliant. It doesn't give you a single chance to not be interested in this. It's just constantly gripping you and sucking you into the dialogue.
Drop the just Facebook. It's cool.
Oh, so he's the one who came up with that part. I did not know that. That's some pretty incredible marketing advice to just give out for free like that.
And as part of my initiation, I had to, for 1 week, carry with me at all times and take care of a chicken. And the dining hall was serving chicken for dinner, so I had to feed my chicken. I took little pieces of chicken and I gave it to the chicken.
That's rough for the company, but that's pretty hilarious. Not gonna lie. The big question is, did the chicken like it?
I can read about you torturing birds. Since when does reading
They
about
don't
something...
fish! Eat other fish! The marlins and the trout!
I can't imagine having your reputation ruined because you fed a piece of chicken to a live chicken. But that's the kind of stuff you're getting canceled for in 2020, so I shouldn't be too surprised.
How's of a program running that has a pop-up window appear simultaneously on all 5 computers? The last candidate to hit the window has to drink a shot. Plus, every 3 minutes, they all have to drink a shot.
My goodness, he's speaking at such a high velocity. It's insane. It's insane on multiple levels. It's insane that he has that level of acting. It's insane that he can speak that fast with so many words, and that he can remember all those lines.
$18,000?
Yes.
In addition to the $1,000 you'd already put up?
Yes.
A total of $19,000 now?
Yes.
Hang on.
I don't remember everything amazing that came out in 2010, but I feel like this should have been nominated for editing.
She and her friends are already talking about the race, which they've just seen via their computers. A new website called Facebook. I don't have this in America.
Daughter doesn't go to school in the States.
No, Cambridge.
It's global. I can't imagine that feeling of having an idea, losing it to someone else, and watching it become one of the most successful things around. That's just gotta feel so defeating.
I'm afraid if you don't come out here, you're gonna get left behind. I need you out here. Please don't tell him I said that.
What did you mean, get left behind?
This is a conflicting story because on one hand, I feel bad for him because he's getting left behind or getting ditched by his friend after investing so much of his time and money into a company. But on the other hand, Facebook wouldn't have succeeded if Mark didn't take those steps. If he just entrusted Eduardo fully with everything, that it would have been, if anything, a slow growth, if at all.
That represents a 34.4% ownership share. Why the increase from the original 30%?
Because you may need to dilute it to award shares to new investors.
Like to use my pen?
Seems like a pretty good deal to me.
And when you signed these documents, were you aware that you were signing your own death certificate?
No.
What?
It was insanely stupid of me not to have my own lawyers look over all... In all honesty, I thought they were my lawyers.
Please explain. We gonna learn what happened here? Because that death certificate line was pretty ominous.
What is this?
It's not gonna tell us? It's a bold writing choice by leaving us hanging.
He's wired in. Is he? Yes. How about now? You still wired in?
What was Mr. Zuckerberg's ownership share diluted down to?
It wasn't.
What was Sean Parker's ownership share diluted down to?
It wasn't.
No way.
And what was your ownership share diluted down to?
0.03%.
Oh, this snake, dude. He took everything from him.
I think we were gonna let you parade around in your ridiculous suits pretending you were running this company.
Sorry, my brother's in the cleaners! You pretentious douchebag!
I knew you did it! You planted that story about the chicken! I didn't plant the story.
And me accused of animal cruelty.
Seriously.
I'll bet what you hated the most is that they identified me as a co-founder of Facebook, which I am.
This vindictive fool, man. What? He was trying to ruin this guy's life from the beginning. Also, what an absolutely phenomenal performance from Andrew Garfield.
I like standing next to you, Sean. Makes me look so tough.
Oh, I love that line. Man, the dialogue in this movie is insane. And that scene was absolutely flawless.
I'm 21.
Lying only makes it worse.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't have lied.
Mark cast out Eduardo by faking a scandalous story about him, only to have Sean have a real scandalous story come out about him. If that isn't karma, I don't know what is.
What happened to Sean?
He still owns 7% of the company.
After all of that, Sean still owns 7% and Eduardo owns nothing. That's crazy, man. Amazing. Created an entire $1 billion website or whatever just to add a girl as a friend on there. Hey, nice. I'm glad for my guy Eduardo. He deserves credit. Also, I hope he got a good amount. It says undisclosed, but he deserves it, especially for all his contributions in the beginning. Crazy how soon after that happened that this movie came out, because this came out in 2010. I know it at least mentions 2004 in the movie. I don't know how many years afterwards that like the settlements and stuff take place. And maybe you guys can help me out, because I don't know. Has Mark Zuckerberg watched this movie, or what's his acknowledgement of it? Is he in favor of it? Obviously, it paints him in not the most positive light, so I could see him not having the most favorable opinion of it. But a very, very well made movie. The dialogue was just so good, start to finish. I feel like there was only a couple of breaths without some dialogue stuffed in there, so Aaron Sorkin definitely wrote an amazing script. Most interested in the editing though. Definitely want to know if it was nominated or anything like that. But after watching it now, I realized that I maybe recognized some scenes up until they met with Sean in the restaurant. That was the last thing that I remember seeing. Anything after that, I have absolutely no recollection of. So from that point in the restaurant on was all new to me. Before that, I did recognize some things here and there, but I just recognized like locations and who was in the scene. I didn't remember dialogue. So I feel like this movie is basically just a 2-hour crash course on how to do flawless writing and editing. I thought it was just some of the best, most well-written dialogue I'd ever seen in a film, and the editing was just so captivating the whole way through. I was sucked into every scene because not just that it was fast-paced, but that it was so well-timed and pieced together. It was taking scenes from completely different circumstances and time frames and making it seem so coherent, and it flowed so perfectly well. Normally, I feel like that would be so jarring and off-putting, and it would kind of take you out of the story. This was done in a way that brought you back or brought you more into the story, and so those were definitely my favorite parts of the film. And as far as the story, I thought it was fascinating, and I didn't know a lot about the founding of Facebook. This movie definitely informed me on a lot of things that I didn't realize, and it makes Mark Zuckerberg certainly not look like the most honest, respectable person. From the very first scenes of the movie, you can tell that he's the kind of person who is all about his own gain and improvement and forwarding his own ideas and progress. Just from that very first scene in the restaurant with Erica, he's so self-interested in his own conversation, and as soon as he feels someone else isn't there for his benefit, then it kind of turns him off to them and he loses interest. In that case with Erica though, he's always got interest to her because he's attracted to her, but I mean, maybe there's more that I need to know about their relationship, but it definitely seems that he had some sort of obsession with her, or the idea that he wasn't accepted or respected by her. Maybe the dialogue, I'm just talking out loud, I'm realizing stuff as I'm speaking, but maybe because they were talking a lot about the exclusivity of clubs, maybe he felt like Erica's love and respect was almost like a club to him that he had to earn his place in, and it was the most exclusive club of any other girl, and he felt like she was the only one that wasn't accepting him, whereas all these other girls treated him as a hero of sorts, and so he was just obsessed with that idea. That's just my thought. I don't know if that's way off or the way it's supposed to be interpreted. I thought Jesse Eisenberg as Mark was phenomenal. I felt like every single line of dialogue was delivered to perfection, and there were so many times where he was just rattling off so many words at a time, which was impressive because of how fast he was speaking, how difficult it is probably to memorize that many lines of dialogue to run off that quickly. And so I loved his performance as Mark Zuckerberg, and having seen him in interviews, the real life Mark Zuckerberg and things like that, he's obviously got a very particular way and peculiar way of speaking and carrying himself. And I thought Jesse Eisenberg did a pretty good job overall emulating kind of the peculiarities of it. But obviously not everything in the persona he portrays is an accurate representation. Obviously he takes some dramatic liberties when performing. And so other than that though, I thought everyone else on the cast was phenomenal. Andrew Garfield specifically, I thought had some of the best moments of the movie, especially his confrontation with Mark at the end of the movie. I thought was maybe the best scene of the movie. I really liked the emotion in that scene and the music as well, which, by the way, I looked up the composers. I didn't recognize either of their names, so I don't know what else they've composed, but the music was phenomenal, and especially in that scene I felt like it really added to the power and the emotion. And Justin Timberlake was surprising because, as I mentioned while I was watching it, don't know if I included it, but I haven't really seen him act in anything else, but I thought he did a great job. He was holding his own against two other phenomenal actors, so that's definitely impressive for someone who's not primarily an actor. Direction was great. This was definitely a movie where I feel like David Fincher's direction and vision definitely was apparent. It's a very good looking movie, very well directed movie, but I feel like in his usual works you can definitely see his fingerprints a lot more than this one, whereas I feel like his direction in this was a little bit more subtle or a little bit more reserved than like Seven or The Game or things like that, where this one I feel like the focus was more on dialogue, story, and editing. But that's not a bad thing by any means, because when you have such a talented crew behind the camera and behind the scenes, it's hard for everyone to kind of share the spotlight, and so I feel like his direction might have been a little bit more of a backseat in this one than his usual work. Overall, absolutely love the movie though. Fantastic, very engaging, really loved learning about the story, especially since Facebook is such a relevant thing still today. And I mean, I still use it frequently, not as much as I did obviously when it was first around, but I was very intrigued and interested the whole way through. Definitely enjoyed watching it finally from start to finish. And so I appreciate those of you who voted and suggested this in my poll. And if you'd like to watch along with me for the entire movie, definitely consider checking out the Patreon link in the description. That's where you can find that, as well as all the other full-length videos from my channel. But I appreciate you guys watching if you're still sticking around, and if you enjoyed it, definitely consider leaving a thumbs up. Helps the video out a lot. It helps it reach more people, and I'm so grateful that you guys are enjoying the videos, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Peace.